Another thing, ever since that water plant was built, folks, we get charged a certain rate, and the township is charged a surcharge for their water. So the difference, that money has been going into a fund since the plant was built. So Benton Township was sitting on $15 million when the city was broke. How can you own a water plant and be broke, and your neighbors are sitting on $15 million? Because that surcharge went into a fund so they could go out and build a water plant, because we didn't take care of business. That's why we're in this situation. And it could have been avoided if people had stepped up.
The question again is, how did we get to the situation where Benton Harbor is going to be going it alone, water rates are expected to double, and what, if anything, can be done about that in the future?
Well, communication is one thing that can be done. They have to learn to communicate better and put differences aside, and just for the betterment of the city, not to hurt people.
I guess I'd just like to ask a follow-up. Is there anything that either of you see that could be done to help down the road?
Well, I mean, at this point, Greg, you know, the township have basically said they're done. So, I mean, they still have to get approval from the joint sewage folks. They still have to get approval from the water authority over at St. Joe. You know, that is a very, very tough question as to how do we move forward with the loss of customers, but still we have to come up with the money for these bond payments. That's tough.
It's not going to be easy with the citizen rate going up, but we have to compromise somewhere.
Well, maybe, just maybe. If this community can come together and we can improve our image, get the right people in office, I can tell you folks, people are looking at this community for development. But they stand on the sideline because of all the drama that goes down on at City Hall. So this is fixable. This is fixable, folks.
So you're saying more Benton Harbor customers would lower the rate for everyone else?
Absolutely. But we also need to get businesses to move into our community. You know, we've got a whole downtown area, that whole Main Street, Riverview Drive. You know, we've got, you know, a lot of land. We have land that St. Joe doesn't have, because they're landlocked. And with 10,000, 12,000 people coming in here next May for the PGA Tour, you know, you're talking a lot of people with a lot of money. You're talking 300 media people coming from around the world. We've got a new airport with an extended runway. And guess what? We've got planes flying in here. They used to fly to Kalamazoo or down to South Bend. But now they're flying into Benton Harbor. So that's creating more fuel sales for our airport. And as you bring in more people into our community and see what we have to offer, you know, people are looking at our community.
At this time,
water. I just wrote water. Water. We should be drinking bottled water. We are surrounded by water. We should be drinking our own water. Our water department is a money maker. Our water department is a money loser. And so not only about these communities that are leaving, when I wrote here, can you save St. Joseph Township contract? Would you work to have St. Joseph Township not leave here? When I read what they have to do, they got to spend more money to go under something to connect to wherever they go. They're already connected. But then I think about our residents. I've lived in Benton Harbor all my life. And I question our water meters. I question that is water bubbling up in the ground. There was a terrible on Pipestone and, you know about where the driver's license bureau was?
Yeah.
Water was there forever. So we need to do some things to make it right, because not only are we having people leave us, but it's gonna cost us more money as citizens to pay for this, because it's not right, it's not working. What we need to be working on, that's our biggest asset is water.
But let me just say this.
I made a statement. What
It is
the
a-
mark on that? What we gonna do? What do you all propose to do?
Before we can even talk to St. Joe Township, Ms. Yarborough, we've got a leakage of 40% water in our system because of pipes that are broken. You can go down the whole park to that baseball diamond, and it's like a swamp down there. You know why? Because there is a pipe that's been broke for probably 6 or 7 or 8 years. And again, when I talk about an infrastructure that's 100 years old, I mean, you can probably talk to Mr. Watson. He can tell you we have these emergency calls to B&Z Construction to come in during the winter months because we have water main breaks. So when you fix a pipe here, that problem's going to move to another weakest part of that line. And that's what we have in the city of Benton Harbor. We've got clay pipes in our city because we haven't maintained the system for years. And that's the problem that Benton Township and St. Joe Township, they all know how much of a problem, not just the water plant, but it's the infrastructure. And that's what people don't realize. The delivery. We've got old lines, and all these emergency calls during the winter months cost the city anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000. And sometimes we have 2 or 3. So we've got a much bigger problem than just the water plant. It's the infrastructure.
At this time, we'll take cards from the audience. Raise your hand.
Okay, first audience question. Do you think the education of a child in Benton Harbor receives, I'm sorry, I'm going to start again. Do you think the education a child in Benton Harbor receives is sufficient to give them a promising future?
Yes, I do. You know, I mean, a lot of people think that our kids in Benton Harbor can't learn, but they can learn. You know, I think with Dr. Leonard Seawood over the school district now, you know, he's doing a fantastic job. You know, he's got a lot of support. But again, you know, there's been a lot of structural problems wrong with our school district for years. And of course, we were about to be taken over by the state with the school district. But they came together. They put together a deficit elimination plan. They presented to the state accepted it, and so now they're working to fix their own problems. So when you have people that are concerned, like Dr. Seawood and all the people that are working with him to address these issues, you know, yes, it's a huge difference. So I think the kids, you know, in Benton Harbor can learn, and with the right instruction and the changes that are taking place, I think the future is bright for our students.
At one point, I thought we had lost hope, but now I feel the hope is coming back to our kids, and I think in the future we're going to have some very good.
Can I just add one other part to that too? I know over the years, the school district in the city of Benton Harbor have really not really worked together over the years. But I can tell you, with Joe Harris being here, He's working closely with Dr. Seawood, and we've had a swimming pool for years that's not been in operation. And so the city is contributing a large sum of money, I'm not for sure, but I think it's $100,000, somewhere in that neighborhood, to help to fix that swimming pool so our kids can learn how to swim, have swimming classes, phys ed classes, because again, that's part of the curriculum, you know, for these kids, and help to pay for a swimming instructor. So, you know, between the city and the school district, you know, coming together, I believe that, you know, we're both on the same path, you know, trying to dig out of this financial hole that we're both in. But again, with the right people and people coming together and believing and having hope that we can make a difference, you know, we will make a difference. You know, we just have to continue to believe and hope and stay focused. But we gotta, you know, we have to watch our spending, folks. We can't spend more than what we take in. And that's what the city's been doing for a long time.
A two-part question. And what types of new businesses do you feel would benefit the downtown area? And what types of actions should the commission be taking to attract more businesses to Benton Harbor?
Well, I mean, I've been talking a lot, so. Well, I don't know if I have all the answers, but I'm just one person.
But I think, me personally, I feel like if we had a fast food restaurant downtown, it would encourage more people to come downtown. That was one of the things that I would like to really try to implement in the downtown Benton Harbor. And another thing, I think if the, as long as we have a restaurant, and I was talking to a young lady today, and she was talking really about starting a nice restaurant where people can come in and sit and have food. And we were just talking, and she brought that up to me about how can she go about doing that. And it was a great idea. And there's other things, as a commissioner, I feel like there is more to just being a commissioner, sit down and do nothing, go out and try to encourage business to come in. When I was on the commission before, I traveled a lot, and I would leave my card everywhere, asking them to consider coming to Benton Harbor, bringing a business. And believe it or not, a couple did call. And believe it or not, they made appointment to come, but something happened, and we didn't.
I have the privilege of working for Michigan Pizza Hut, and with 45 pizza huts in the state, I get around. All right, I travel to Grand Haven, I travel to Holland, Ludington, Manistee, and to the Upper Peninsula. And when I ride into these communities, you know, it's unbelievable what I see. I see vibrant communities, people shopping, you know, from, you know, shoe shops, to drugstores, dry cleaners, restaurants, antique stores. It's amazing. I mean, we don't have to drive too far. We can drive over to St. Joe and see what St. Joe has. So you cannot tell me that we don't have a community where we can really turn this thing around with the right people and the right attitude, you know, and not being on TV for negative publicity. Because I can tell you folks, from a business perspective, and dealing with a lot of folks in Dallas and around the country, people don't want to deal with a lot of drama. What we've got to do as a community, as a commission also, is that we've got to deal with this millage. Our millage is the second highest in the state. And then we wonder why businesses come to this community and they wind up out in South St. Joe, Lake Shore, Royalton Township, and Lincoln Township. A lot of it has to do with the millage rate. Again, it's the highest, second highest in the state. So